I've been driving trucks for over 23 years. Long hauls, coast to coast, freight and fuel, day and night. I've driven through snowstorms that swallowed entire highways, through deserts where the asphalt boiled. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for the night I got rerouted onto a forgotten stretch of Route 66. Started out like any other job. I was hauling electronic parts from Albuquerque to Barstow. I'd done this route so many times I could practically drive it blind. Around midnight, just outside Gallup, my GPS blinked and rerouted me through a stretch of road I hadn't used in decades. Faster route found, it said. It was still Route 66, but an old, barely maintained portion of it that had long been bypassed by the interstate. I should have ignored it, but I didn't. The air felt off almost immediately. I thought it was just exhaustion. Maybe the fifth energy drink was messing with me. The road narrowed and the pavement cracked beneath the tires. The moon above was unnaturally red and hung heavy in the sky. There were no stars, no cars, just me, the hum of the engine, and the sound of gravel shifting under rubber. About 30 miles into that stretch, I passed a faded wooden sign. Murphy's Gas and Diner, 2 miles ahead, open 24/7. That diner wasn't on any map, but my tank was at a quarter, and my eyelids were getting heavier. 2 miles later, I saw it. An old diner and a couple of rusted gas pumps sitting under flickering neon. The place looked like it hadn't changed since the 1950s. The windows were dirty, the parking lot cracked, and a single payphone hung by its cord like someone had tried to rip it out. No other cars, no people. Still, I parked and stepped out. The desert air was cold, unnaturally cold for July in New Mexico. The silence was absolute. No wind, no crickets, not even the distant call of coyotes. As I walked toward the entrance, the diner door creaked open on its own. Inside, warm yellow lights buzzed overhead. A radio played soft country music from somewhere behind the counter. The walls were lined with old black and white photos of truckers, soldiers, and families. I felt watched, like the walls themselves were holding their breath. Then I saw her. A woman stood behind the counter, perfectly still. Her name tag said, Evelyn. She had the look of someone frozen in time. Bouffant hair, bright red lipstick, and a crisp pink uniform. "Coffee's hot, trucker," she said with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Pie's fresh too." I hesitated. There were no coffee pots, no pie, not even menus, just empty booths and a single cup on the counter. But I sat anyway, and as soon as I did, I noticed something. The booths were filling up with people. Slowly, silently. One moment they were empty, the next, occupied. But they didn't move. They didn't talk. Their clothes were from every era, the 40s, 60s, 90s. Like time had vomited everyone out into one place. Then I noticed their eyes. They weren't blinking. I tried to get up. That's when Evelyn leaned in, her smile gone. "You need to leave before the others realize you're still alive." I bolted out the door. But the moment I stepped outside, I stopped dead in my tracks. My truck was gone. In its place was an identical rig, but it looked ancient, rusted, burned. The windshield was cracked, and the tires half buried in sand. The license plate was the same as mine, but weathered and faded like it had been abandoned for years. I heard something behind me. I turned, and Evelyn was standing in the doorway of the diner, holding a set of keys. My keys. I ran to the rig. I didn't care if it was mine or not. I just needed to get away. I started the engine, and to my surprise, it roared to life. I floored it, tires screeching across broken pavement. As I drove, I realized something was wrong. Every few miles, I saw the same things repeating. A crooked mailbox with Turner printed on it, a burned-out VW Beetle, a billboard that read "Stay on Route 66, the Mother Road," with scorch marks across it. I passed them again, and again, and again. The road was looping. The radio crackled. Then came a voice. "You took the dead man's route, trucker." I turned the radio off. The voice kept speaking. "You're not supposed to be here. This route's for the forgotten." I reached for the CB under the dash. "Breaker, breaker, this is Lone Wolf 17. Anyone out there? I need help. I'm stuck on 66 near." Static. Then a whisper. "You're not Lone Wolf anymore." I looked in my side mirror. Headlights. A rig was tailing me too close. Its lights were blinding. I tried to lose it. I sped up, swerved off the road and back on. But it kept up. Then, without a sound, it passed through me. Literally passed through me. It had no driver. Suddenly, my engine died. All lights went out. I was in total darkness. I climbed out, flashlight in hand. The landscape had changed, twisted. The road behind me was gone. In its place was a canyon. And across the canyon, standing in rows along the edge, were dozens of figures. Motionless. Watching. Truckers, soldiers, kids, old women, even a cop. All pale. All wrong. Then I saw Evelyn. At the front. Still smiling. She raised her arm and pointed at me. I turned, jumped into the rig, and frantically tried to start it. Nothing. Then I noticed the glove compartment was open. Inside was a photograph, me sitting at the diner. But not from earlier tonight. This photo was old, yellowed, torn at the edges. Behind me in the photo were the same ghostly people now standing in the canyon. I screamed, tore the photo in half, and the truck roared to life. I drove like hell. The canyon disappeared behind me. The road stretched forward again, and a sign appeared. Interstate 40 to 1 mile. I hit the gas. The radio came back on. This time it was my own voice from earlier. "Breaker, breaker. This is Lone Wolf 17. The recording looped, distorted, overlapping with laughter. Evelyn's laughter. Then everything behind me vanished. The headlights, the canyon, the diner. I pulled into a real gas station. There were people. Real people. The clerk asked if I was okay. I told him where I'd been. He looked pale. Murphy's? My grandpa used to talk about that place. It burned down in 1973. I checked my dash cam. 3 hours of static. But one frame, just one, was clear. It showed Evelyn, standing by my truck, waving. Behind her, dozens of figures in the diner's windows, all smiling. You never forget your first solo midnight patrol. Mine was supposed to be quiet, a simple night watch in the outskirts of town. Just me, my cruiser, and endless static on the radio. But nothing about that night turned out simple. I'd been patrolling for about an hour, sipping bad coffee and listening to old rock on the AM band, when dispatch crackled in. Unit 12, possible break-in at 147 Briar Ridge. Caller reports movement in abandoned structure. No utilities, no residents. Briar Ridge. Just the name gave me a weird chill. 3 houses, all condemned. The last one, number 147, had been burned out in a fire about 12 years ago. Locals said it was arson, that a man torched the place with his family inside. No one knew why. No one ever found him. I acknowledged the call, turned down the music, and headed that way. The further I drove, the darker it got. No streetlights, just rows of decaying trees arching over the road, like skeletal hands. As I pulled up, I saw the house looming in the distance. Charred walls, a roof half caved in, windows like gaping mouths. I parked across the street and stepped out. Everything around me felt wrong, the kind of quiet that hums. I radioed in, "Dispatch, Unit 12 on site. Beginning perimeter check." The moment I crossed the property line, my cruiser lights blinked and turned off. Radio static cut in and out. My flashlight trembled in my grip. I told myself it was nothing. Faulty wiring. Old buildings do that. I climbed the porch. Wood cracked under my boots. A broken rocking chair shifted slightly, not from wind. There was no wind. The door hung ajar. I nudged it open with my boot. "Sheriff's Department. Anyone inside? Identify yourself." Only silence. And then a whisper. "Help me." I froze. It was faint, female, and coming from upstairs. My hand went to my holster. I stepped inside. The air reeked of mildew and ash. Wallpaper peeled like decaying flesh. Water stains formed shapes I didn't want to interpret. I moved slowly toward the staircase. Every step creaked like it hadn't been touched in years. Halfway up, my flashlight flickered. And then I saw her, a woman or what used to be one. Her skin was mottled, burned. Her eyes hollow. She stood at the top of the stairs, head tilted. And then she vanished. I reached the second floor landing. Felt stretched, like the hallway was longer than it should be. Doors lined each side, but they didn't look right. Too tall, too narrow. My radio came alive. "Unit 12, code 303. The voice wasn't dispatch. It was low, gravelly, distorted. I tried to respond. Nothing but static. I opened the first door. A child's room. Toys melted, bed sheets scorched. On the wall, written in black ash, "He watches. He never left." Behind me, the floor groaned. I turned, the hallway was gone, replaced by darkness. Then a scream, high-pitched. A child? I ran toward the sound, opening another door. Now I was in the basement. I hadn't gone down any stairs. It was pitch black. My flashlight barely lit a circle around me. Chains hung from the ceiling. A furnace stood in the center, glowing faintly. Suddenly, something ran past. Quick, human-shaped. I shouted, "Stop! Show me your hands." A laugh, hollow, echoing. Then the furnace roared to life, fire pouring out. Shadows danced on the walls, dozens of them, all writhing. Watching, one stepped forward. It was the man from the old reports, the alleged arsonist. His face was half melted, as pure black. He raised his hand. My body seized. My radio screamed in static. "You don't belong here, Derek. No one ever said my name that night. No one but him." I ran. Through hallways that bent in unnatural angles. Through rooms that shouldn't exist. A nursery where dolls whispered. A bathroom where the mirror showed me decomposing. Every door led somewhere worse. The house was alive. Feeding. Finally, I burst into what looked like a hospital corridor. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Gurneys lined the walls. An alarm blared. A nurse walked by, dragging an four-stand. Her face was stitched shut. She whispered through sewn lips, "Code 303. No escape." I backed away, turned the corner, and there I was, lying on a hospital bed, burned, eyes open, staring at the ceiling. I screamed. Everything went black. I woke up in my cruiser. The clock read 3:03 a.m. My uniform was soaked in sweat. My flashlight sat on the passenger seat. Batteries corroded. The house was gone. Literally gone. Just an empty lot and some yellowed grass. Back at the station, I filed the report. No one believed me, said I was overworked. Maybe I dozed off. But 2 days later, a package showed up. No return address. Inside, a hospital bracelet, burnt, with my name on it, and a Polaroid. Me, in the house, standing next to the woman from the stairs. Only I don't remember the photo being taken. That night, I dreamed of the basement again. But this time, I didn't run. I stood there, frozen, as the walls began to whisper my name in hundreds of voices. They told me stories of others, other officers, other calls. Code 303 wasn't unique. It was a warning. The next morning, I found soot on my boots. My cruiser smelled faintly of smoke, and my radio turned itself on. 3:03 a.m. sharp. Static, then a voice. Welcome back, Derek. I put in for a transfer that same day. Never took another code 303 call again. I've been hauling freight cross-country for over 25 years. I've seen every state, slept in every kind of truck stop from rundown diners to high-tech hubs. I've witnessed tornadoes tear through farmland, seen a man get hit by lightning and walk away, and even drove through what I swear was a ghost town in Kansas. But nothing messed with me like what happened one foggy night on Route 89 in Arizona. It was just past midnight. I was heading north toward Flagstaff with a load of steel beams strapped tight. The desert stretched out around me like a black sea, endless and quiet, the kind of quiet that gets into your bones. I had a full thermos of coffee and some old-school Lynyrd Skynyrd playing low. Everything was fine, until the CB lit up. Breaker, any unit copying on channel 666? I blinked. Channel what? CB radios go up to 40 standard channels. 120 if you've got a modded rig. But 666? That's not just impossible. It's a bad joke. I leaned in, checked the display. Still red channel 19. I figured it was some kid messing around with a frequency hijacker. You got Razor. Say again? What channel are you calling from? There was a pause. Then the voice came again. Raspy, hollow, like it was echoing from the inside of a tomb. The one that hears what others won't. I felt the hair on my arms stand straight up. I laughed it off and killed the radio. Maybe I was just tired. 10 minutes later, my CB buzzed again. This time, there was no voice, just the sound of breathing. Slow, wet, right in my ear. Then, he's behind you. I nearly swerved off the road. I checked every mirror, turned on every external light. Nothing but the black road behind me. I pulled over, heart pounding, and stepped out with my flashlight. Walked around the truck. The air was still, unnaturally still. Not a breeze, not a single insect sound. It was like the desert was holding its breath. Inside, I tried every channel. 19.9, even the NOAA weather band. Silence. The radio was stuck. Wouldn't switch. Then the fog rolled in. I'd seen desert fog before, but not like this. This was thick, unnatural, like dry ice spilling across a stage. I couldn't see past my headlights. My GPS froze. My phone went dead, black screen, even with full charge. Then my CB crackled. Razor, don't stop. Keep driving. I froze. That voice. It was my brother, Jesse. He'd been gone 11 years. Killed in a rollover accident in Colorado. I was the one who found him. Crushed cab. Blood everywhere. The memory still haunts me. Jess. I whispered into the mic. Keep driving, Razor, or it'll find you. Then the channel went dead. I should have turned around, called someone, but I couldn't leave that voice. I needed to know what was going on. I put the truck in gear and crept forward, barely moving. That's when the radio changed. It didn't just speak. It screamed. First, I heard metal crunching, like car crashes echoing in the distance. Then a woman sobbing. Then a baby crying. Then the sound of dozens of voices whispering over each other. Some were calling my name. Some were chanting numbers. Some were just growling. My hands were shaking. I wiped sweat off my brow and pushed on. Then I saw it. A truck, parked sideways across the road. No lights, no movement, completely blocking the lane. I hit the brakes. The air hissed. I got out with my flashlight. The rig was old, rusted, covered in what looked like burn marks. I climbed up to the cab, expecting to find someone slumped over. Empty, but the engine was warm. On the passenger seat there was a CB mic. I picked it up. We didn't listen. Now we're stuck here. Then screaming. Not from the mic, inside my head. A chorus of voices, some human, some not. I dropped it like it was on fire and backed away. When I turned to go back to my truck, it was gone. Vanished. I stood there on that fog-covered highway, alone in silence. Then I saw it again. My truck, farther down the road, lights on, engine running. I ran toward it, but with every step it seemed farther, like the road was stretching, like I was trapped in a loop. Then something moved beside me in the fog, a silhouette, then another, people, dozens, all standing still, watching, no faces, just outlines. As I walked, they turned to face me in unison, silent. I finally reached my truck and locked the doors. When I looked at the CB, channel 666 was still lit. The mic sparked, and a voice whispered, "You're driving on the dead road now, Razor. Keep going, or join the rest of us." I drove, faster than I should have. I didn't care. I sped through the fog, ignoring every whisper, every scream, every bang on the side of my cab. At one point, the fog turned red, blood red. My windshield fogged from the inside, handprints appearing out of nowhere. I screamed and punched the wheel. Then, just like that, it cleared. Stars above, desert air, GPS pinged. Phone buzzed back to life. I pulled over at a diner in Flagstaff. Walked in, white as a ghost. Told the waitress what happened. She stared at me, pale. "Han, Route 89's been closed for 24 hours. Landslide near mile marker 177. You couldn't have come through there." I checked my watch. 3:33 a.m. My odometer? Exactly 66.6 miles. And the CB? Still stuck on channel 666. I unplugged it that night. Never used a CB again. Because I learned something out there. Some channels don't just transmit, they pull you in. I was a state trooper for 15 years, patrolling the loneliest stretches of highway in the Midwest. Nothing surprises you after the first few years. Meth heads, DUIs, wrecks, ghost towns. But what happened the night we got a call from mile marker 303? That still haunts me. It was 2:47 a.m. when dispatch radioed in. Unit Echo 7, respond to possible vehicle obstruction and pedestrian in distress at MM 303. Caller disconnected. A nowhere mile. Middle of the prairie. No exits for 20 miles in either direction. I acknowledged and rolled out. My partner, Deputy Troy Winters, was riding shotgun. Big guy, ex-Marine, scared of nothing. But I swear I saw him tense when he heard 303. "You know what they say about that stretch?" he asked. "No," I muttered, already feeling the unease in my gut. He looked out the window. Old highway myth. People vanish there. Radio blackouts, strange lights. No one talks about it, 'cause no one makes a report and lives to file it. I laughed it off. That's what you do as a cop. Laugh in the face of fear. But my hands were tight on the wheel. 20 minutes later, We saw the flash of hazard lights ahead. A silver Buick, parked crooked across both lanes. No driver. We pulled behind, hit the spotlights. The car was still running. Doors closed, windows fogged from the inside. I approached with flashlight drawn. Troy covered me from behind. "Police! Anyone inside?" I called. No response. Peered in. The driver's seat was empty, but the passenger seat had handprints. Not just one, dozens. Greasy, child-sized. Smearing down the windows, the dashboard, even the ceiling. Then my radio hissed. "Don't go farther." A voice. Not dispatch. Not anyone I knew. I turned back to look at Troy. He was gone. Just gone. His flashlight lay on the ground, still on. I drew my gun, spun in a circle, yelling his name. No answer. Then the fog rolled in. Same as before. Thick. Instant. Like it had waited for me to be alone. The temperature dropped. I could see my breath. Then the radio crackled again. Echo 7. Report status. It was dispatch, but the voice was warbled, like underwater. I tried to respond. Dispatch, Officer Harlow. Lost partner. Unknown situation. Car is empty. Visibility low, requesting backup. Silence. Then, Echo 7 is not recognized. No such unit logged. My stomach dropped. I repeated myself, over and over. Then something knocked hard on the trunk of the Buick. I raised my weapon, circled around. It was open. Inside was a body bag, unzipped halfway, empty. Then a whisper behind me. Code 303. I spun, finger on the trigger. There was a woman standing in the fog. Pale, wet, wearing hospital scrubs. No shoes. Her eyes, they were solid black. "Help me," she said, voice hollow, rehearsed. I took a step back. She mimicked me. "He's coming. He doesn't like police." Then she smiled. Her mouth stretched too far, wider than it should have. I bolted back to my cruiser, locked the doors, radio still hissing. A second later, the Buick's engine revved by itself. Headlights blinked. Horn blasted. Then, from the passenger seat of my car, a laugh. Deep, guttural. I turned. Troy was there, but his face, twisted. Eyes black like hers. Blood leaking from his ears. "You left me, Mason." I screamed and fired through the windshield. Glass exploded. I leapt out and ran. Ran into the fog. Into the blackness. My gun useless. My radio looping the same line. Code 303. Code 303. Code 303. I passed another body bag on the road. Then another. All open. All empty. Then came the lights. Red and blue, but flashing from above, like they were floating. A cruiser appeared ahead, but old. Model from the 80s. Rusted. Still marked Unit Echo 7. My unit. Inside was me. Dead. Eyes open. Hand on the mic. I fell to my knees, screaming. And then, nothing. I woke up in my bed. Civilian clothes. Radio static coming from nowhere. Phone buzzed, unknown number. "You were warned." Then it hung up. But that wasn't the end. The next night, 2:47 a.m. sharp, the call came again. This time I answered, breathing, ragged. Then, "He's still out there." For weeks I got new calls, different voices, screaming, crying, whispers asking for help. Then came the photos, printed, no return address. Each showed the same stretch of highway. And me standing in the middle of the road, eyes black. I burned them all, moved again, threw out the phone, got a landline, still rings. One night I decided to answer it again. It was Troy. "You have to come back. You left us there." "What do you mean, left?" "It wasn't a dream. You're still on 303. This is just what he shows you. So you'll stay still. The phone melted in my hand. Literally. Black sludge poured out the speaker. I screamed and passed out. I woke up back on Route 303. In my cruiser. Windshield shattered. Radio flashing. Echo 7. Respond. But this time, I didn't answer, because whatever's on that mile, whatever he is, it feeds on voices, on those who answer. So I sit in silence, and I wait, and every now and then, I hear a new unit checking in. Unit Echo 11, responding to 303, and I want to warn them, but I can't, because now I'm just part of the signal. Forever. Code 303 never clears.